The new custom model tool is one of the largest undertakings and biggest transformations of any tool in RickRunGood history, and I'm super proud of it. In short, the custom model allows you to assign weights to different stats or different time frames or number of rounds and come up with the golfers that best fit those skill sets. In short, that's all it does. But that is certainly the short of it, because it is much more powerful than that. And I'm going to walk you through the power of it here in this tutorial. First off, for the first time ever, there is a dark mode and a light mode in a RickRunGood.com tool, which is always fun. But the weights section, the model parameters at the top, this is really where you are taking your 100 weights and you are allocating them any way that you would like. So if you clear your weights, you can choose to say, I want, round by round strokes gained metrics. I want driving accuracy. I want some stat rankings like 125 to 150 yards. I want to look at it over a specific time frame or over a specific number of rounds. This is truly up to you. You can do anything you want here. For example, let's just say I want the last 24 rounds and I want to spread my weights out with 20 off the tee, 20 on approach, 20 on putting, 20 on driving accuracy, and I'll put another 20 on approaches from 125 to 150 yards. That right there, my model is complete. In the old version of the model, there used to be a button that said run model. That button doesn't exist anymore because there's no need. The model is updating in real time as you are updating the weights. So all you then need to do is scroll down and sort by the value column. The value column is the column that will allow you, that's what has been changing with your weights. And now you can see that your golfers are ranked 1 through 152, or however many golfers are in the field, based on this value field. That is your model. You'll see in my random model, Kyle Stanley is actually number 1. If we come back up here and change this, and let's just do, 100% on strokes gained total so that we can get some better players at the top. If I scroll back down and again, sort by value, highest at the top, Jon Rahm is the number 1 player. And that should be no surprise. And his value is 100, right? Because that is all of our weights on to Jon Rahm. Now, Cameron Young shows up here second, and Taylor Pendrith shows up third, which I think is an interesting time to point out. There's a sample size issue with some of these guys, right? So after you put in your metrics, and I'm using the last 24 rounds, you can see that for Jon Rahm, his last 24 rounds, 20 of them are measured, 20 of them are strokes gained rounds, because of course not all rounds on the PGA Tour have lasers on them, and that is across 7 different tournaments. For Cameron Young, I only have 1 round for him that is measured. I have 4 total rounds, and that's over 2 tournaments. So keep in mind the sample size as you're going through and looking through these results. And if I decide that I don't want Cameron Young or Taylor Pendrith in my builds, I can just uncheck their name and move on with my day. Then the next place that you would go would be to the lineup parameters. So this is where you can now build lineups. This is something that was never available before on the RickRunGood custom model, is you ran the model and then you didn't really have anything to do with it. Well, not anymore. Now you can say, up to 150 lineups, how many do I want to build? Let's do 10 for a minimum salary of $47,000 and a max salary of $49,500. And I want 3 common golfers. That means that if I set it to 3, then each lineup will only have 3 golfers in common with any other lineup. That way you can kind of spread it out a little bit, or you can stay as tight as you would like. And I'm going to set a max ownership projection at, let's call it 100. Sometimes I do 80, sometimes I do 100. That's using the projected ownership down here. We will not exceed 100 over the course of our 6 golfers. And let's build these lineups. There they are. There's 10 lineups. On the right-hand side, you can see the full exposure across the board. Kevin Na, Hank Lebioda in 7 out of 10 lineups. I can download these and they will come out in a format that I can literally upload right into DraftKings. That is the format that they are going to come out in. I can review each one of these lineups, make sure that they are what I would expect them to be, and before I actually download them, or I can clear these out and run it any number of times. That is the very, very short tutorial on how this custom model works. You update the time frame, you update the weights, you choose how many lineups you want to run, and you run them. That's the short of it. I'm now going to dive a little bit deeper and talk about kind of each one of the elements, some tips and tricks. So if you want to hang around for that, please do. One of the most handy features of this new custom model are these two buttons at the top: download parameters and upload parameters. And what that means is, when I'm going through this and I'm allocating my weights on maybe a Monday, I can download the parameters, and what that will give me is it'll give me a file that is keeping, if I have 25 on strokes gained off the tee and 22 on strokes gained tee to green, it will export all of those parameters so that I could save those. And really, I could create different models, right? I could have one model that is for ball strikers, where I really weigh off the tee and approach. And I could have another one for accurate but short drivers. Or I could have one for guys that are really good with their wedges. And I could save these parameters week after week, right? And then every single week, I could just come in here and upload them. It'll also allow you to not lose your spot, right? I know that sometimes on Monday, what I think is a really good model, it might be different on Wednesday, and I might want to tweak it later, but I might have forgotten a couple of days ago what my original model was. So the ability to download the parameters at any point is basically like a save button, right? You can just save your progress and then upload it, and when you come back later and continue to tweak, or like I said, and like I usually do, I have 3 or 4 really good baseline models that I use all the time. And those are the ones that I save and I upload on a weekly basis. As you're going through this, if you want to get a little more screen real estate, you can certainly collapse the stat ranks button, and you can scroll down and look at your table of results. And you saw me earlier check or uncheck golfers, right? So you can use this, select all or deselect all checkbox here. So if you really wanted to come through here and say, okay, really, I only want to keep a very tight core. I only want Jon Rahm and Hank Lee Biota and Pat Perez and Brian Stewart, and maybe I'd go on and I would click 10 or 15 different golfers. The lineup builder will then only choose these golfers to be in your lineups, assuming that you gave, enough parameters, assuming that you have guys that are going to be across the proper the proper salary ranges, and lineups can actually be built off of these 22 golfers. That's one way that you could do it. You can also individually change how highly owned you want these golfers to be. Maybe I'm willing to go 100% all in on Jon Rahm, but on Hank Lee Biota, I'm willing to go 25%, which means even if he is the best player available, the lineup builder portion of this, the model will only put him in 25% of the lineups that you run. If you want to have an across-the-board baseline, you can change the max ownership, and you could change it to something like 40%. And when I click done, you'll see every single golfer in the field changes to 40%. And then I can continue to make my little adjustments. I could also, part of, the uploading and downloading of the parameters is I could import any of these metrics, right? If I wanted to use my own projected ownership numbers, if I wanted to use my own projected points numbers, that is part of the data import as well. Or you can manually adjust it. If you think, oh, Rick's a little bit crazy here, I don't think Jon Rahm's going to be 28% owned, I think he's going to be 22% owned. That option is available to you. If you don't want to run a model and you just want to use my own projected points, you can do that. Click that button. Notice that the value column here changed. Also, I can change this as well. So let me show you a couple of little ideas here, because this comes up a lot. Whatever is in the value column, that is what the model is going to use to build lineups. And some people will say, is there a min ownership button? There's a max ownership. Jon Rahm is going to be in at most 40% of lineups. But what if I want to say I want Jon Rahm in at least 40% of lineups? Well, I can change his max ownership to 40, and then I could change his value to something crazy like 150 or 200 or 300. And what that will do is he will then become such a good value that the lineup builder, the portion of the custom model, will not have any choice but to jam him in to every single lineup. So it's really a kind of manual way, or at least kind of you're tricking the custom model into a min ownership number. This is a really valuable and powerful tool that I will continue to add more things to, continue to add more stats so that you have the ability to pick and choose what is most important to you. But I'm really proud with the way this rollout has gone. And if you have any questions, I'm certainly available, but good luck.